Welcome back to the newest episode of Two Coaches, One Grizz. Today's episode, we got a psychoanalysis of some dark chamber secrets going on here with Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Derek Carr released. Eagles coordinators abound. But we have to start with the Super Bowl. Gentlemen, how are we doing this evening? Coach, talk to me.
Man, fantastic. It's great to be here. Blessed. Thankful once again that the good Lord allows me to listen to you and fade you. I am so thankful. Amen. Grizz,
we're going to move on amicably here.
We fade with style in this game. And luckily, I'm going to be a happy person because of how the weekend ended, how it hit on all numbers, shall say. But I'm sad. This is the first of months of no NFL college football. And I know there's some Fugazi leagues coming up in the next couple months that will sort of kind of keep us entertained, but we have to understand thank God we had an amazing game to end the season, but it is a little bit of sadness. It's
a bittersweet moment.
It is a bittersweet moment.
I echo that sentiment. This is the last show that we will talk about an NFL game for the next 7 months.
6 months.
6 months? Well, regular season game.
Well, preseason matters now.
Okay. Well,
It's all good now. We'll be talking the draft.
It's going to be a while.
We'll be moving forward.
Draft, combine. That's going to be fun. I'm always in for some combine
the NFL
talk.
is a 365, 24/7, but as a football game, yes, about 6 months.
But listen, I think we have ourselves a little fun time here in the next couple months talking about the XFL potentially.
USFL, baby.
USFL
as well.
And XFL.
Yeah, the Fugazis.
I think it's going to be fun.
Sure.
However, all right.
Mirage.
Hopefully you can give us insights on those games as well. Mm-hmm. And that way we can take a look at it with fervor.
Can't wait
and
to
really
break
know
down.
what side to take.
You're just riding your little high horse.
Those Google searches are going to be bound by that time, man, because
Sir,
you're not going to
like
know
I
a single
said,
person from any game.
Oh, no.
just
Oh, that's
hoping
going to be abound for sure. Gentlemen, Super Bowl action this past weekend. Kansas City Chiefs squeak by the Philadelphia Eagles 38-35. The game, with less than 2 minutes left, was tied 35-35. And if it wasn't for
a holding call,
a ticky-tack holding call.
No, it was not. It was a legit holding call.
Okay.
Everybody keeps talking.
It was legit. It was legit. But here's where my point is coming in here, and we're going to look at the entirety of the game. All right, but we have to start at the end here because it changes the complexion of what was, as the Grizz said, an amazing football game, right? Unfortunately, right, if this call wouldn't have been called, we see a Jalen Hurts who was the best football player.
But that cannot be the basis of an argument on a call.
I let you talk.
No, that cannot be that. I'm sick of that. All these pundits, all the same crap.
Sir, I'm not a pundit. I'm just telling you what you see.
It's the wrong time to call the penalty.
And I'm not saying that. If you let me explain.
You're cheating us out of a drive.
If you let me explain.
It could have gone to overtime.
We don't know that.
But that's not the point.
What I'm saying is it robbed us of some potential greatness.
It did not.
Watching Jalen Hurts, the best football player on the field that night.
It didn't rob us of anything.
Maybe,
it didn't rob us of anything.
Have a comeback drive.
It didn't rob us of anything. It's a penalty. The referee should not be swayed of when to call it or not to call it.
So I'm gonna chalk this up to you interrupting me as the old man, this stuff here, right?
No,
I'm gonna give you that respect.
But again, here
we go again.
It's a lame argument. I keep hearing it from different people.
It's not a lame argument.
Pat McAfee's had the same bullshit. Excuse me. Oh, you're cheating us out of. No, we're not cheating you out of anything. It's the call. The guy has to make the call. If the guy doesn't make the call because he got swayed of what could happen, then he's not doing his job.
You made a call in
but now he's not doing his job.
No, listen. The point that I'm trying to make here is that they didn't call a single holding call the entire game, right? They set the tone for the game that we're gonna let these guys play, and at that point, again, by letter of the law, that's the call that you make.
Again.
And I'm not arguing that. That is a correct.
They had called nine. They had called 9 penalties.
That is a correct.
8 of them had been accepted.
Oh, see, now the truth comes in because he took the over of 10
It doesn't
penalties
matter. I still
accepted.
lost. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
They had called 9 penalties so far, 8 of which had been accepted. A couple of pass interference calls were called. They were called.
Now, I'm glad you brought the pass interference calls up. If that is called a pass interference, okay, which it's not, that's an uncatchable ball. That's what frustrates me about that play, right? Because that ball is uncatchable.
Why was it uncatchable?
Coach, you don't think that the best quarterback...
was it uncatchable?
Coach, you don't think the best quarterback in the NFL can't put that ball on a dime? I can't have this argument. See, we're going... We're pulling from both sides. The ball was overthrown by 15 yards.
But why? Because the guy got held.
No, that's BS.
Of course.
He throws it out of the end zone No. See, now that
So
I'm not going to let slide.
So the jersey pull is not a hold?
Jersey pull or not, that guy knows what he's doing, and that is not he overthrew because he got held. No, he purposely overthrows it to sell the call. Because if he wanted to, he puts that ball on a dart on that guy's hands.
Again.
Grizz, I know you want to talk here. We're burying the lead. Damn it.
The cornerback after the game said he held the player. I don't understand why we just wasted 3 minutes on this. He said he held the player. No, I'm not Gil. You ain't breaking me up.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey,
because
you're not you.
He didn't let me finish the point because that's not where we were going. He wanted to interrupt me because he's the old guy. Go.
Mahomes,
continue.
being a smart quarterback, sees the hold, overthrows. Play's gonna get called because it's a hold. The referee saw a hold. Doesn't matter if it's 1 minute into the game, 1 minute left in the game. That's not the reason they lost the game. That doesn't mean nothing. Don't hold the player. How about you stop them the previous 3 drives from scoring touchdowns?
Now we can get into some analysis.
Things the head coach said there's a multiple amount
There's
of
so
things
many plays in the game that get you to that
and it's
point.
not the one play at the end, but at the end of the day, it's a hold. Whether they called it at all throughout the game or didn't, he held the jersey.
And we can't base an argument of it's at this time of the game. Oh, it could have given us overtime. Oh, we could have seen Jalen Hurts drive. No.
Before I was so rudely interrupted.
That's not an argument.
My point was going to be is that they set the tone for an extremely loosely called game. There were none of those calls the entire game. No holding. There were zero holding calls up to that point.
There were pass interference calls.
OPI, offensive PI.
Okay, whether it's OPI, DPI, OPP,
I'm just
I
saying,
don't care what it is.
Jesus Christ, did we just go there?
It still gets called.
Did we just go there?
It got called. I mean, for God's sakes.
The gentleman, I didn't know his name is Mr. Bradbury. He says,
Yes.
I was hoping he would let it go.
Of course.
But of course, he's a ref. It was a big game.
And the point behind that is when
It was a hold, so they called it. That's his
in
quote.
each game, there's a tone set by the referees. Yes or no? You would agree. You've been part of this
Yes.
game, okay? And in
Yes.
certain games, you're like, oh, okay, they're calling everything. If I sneeze wrong, they're gonna call it, right? And they weren't doing it that game, so the players are inclined to play a little bit more loosely or more aggressively, right? So you get used to those calls or used to those non-calls throughout the game, right? Like, am I right or wrong?
I
here?
understand where you're going with this.
And I'm not discounting the call itself.
Right.
I'm talking about you get into a rhythm as a player to do certain things because they're allowing it. And I would surmise to say here that he probably didn't play that any differently throughout the game.
I'm not listen again. He mugged them earlier in the game and they didn't call it.
But that's
too
what
much
I'm
time
saying.
on this. I'm telling you.
So again,
Talk about how great of a game Hurts played. Talk about how great.
We're gonna get there.
My contention
we need
is
to get there already.
My issue with that is that we are asking officials to not make a call because of the time or left in the game or what they could be. No, an official is there to make the call. Period. Not if it's like Grizz said at the beginning, the last 2 minutes, 1 minute. No, if you see it, you call it. Not because we could have gone to overtime. It could have been this. It could have been that.
That wasn't the point of my argument.
The chief official telling
But you
the
did.
reporter. The
Because
defender.
you interrupted me. You didn't let me get there.
No, you
The
did.
defender grabbed the jersey with his right hand and restricted him from releasing to the outside. So therefore, we call defensive holding. There was no debate among all the officials. It was a clear hold. So once again, this is a non-argument. It sucks. I'd rather see.
We have to pick it. But we have to talk about it. Like you said,
we
it
will.
sucks.
It
right?
sucks, but I have no qualms about it. I didn't at any moment go, gosh darn it, they shouldn't end the game like that. No, the
part of
guy
the
shouldn't
game.
hold
It's
the
part of the
receiver.
game.
Now,
It's part of the game.
How many times has this happened? No calls. There's always a reason at the end to be like, oh, this is what happened. No.
Now, go.
And once again, if they stop him with a minute and change, it could be a 3 and out, a 4 and out, could be an interception. It could be anything. Doesn't mean he's going to go tie the game.
Going back to that,
Part of
right?
football.
You did mention that Nick Sirianni after the game said that we can't hang it on that one play. There's a multitude of
tons.
plays that leads you to that point. One of those defining plays was that fumble, right, by Jalen Hurts, who other than that he was the best football player on that field on Sunday night. He threw for 304 yards, okay?
He made some incredible throws.
Through phenomenal throws.
I guess his shoulder was okay.
Passing touchdowns, right? A couple with his feet, right? He kept them in that game.
3
3
with his feet.
Yeah, if we're exact numbers, yes, 3 with his feet. He accounted for 4 total touchdowns, right? The amazing player. He played well enough aside from that fumble to be the MVP of that game, even in a loss, theoretically, right? I would surmise to say that if he did not fumble that and they still lost, he would still have gotten MVP votes.
No.
It's happened before.
One
Once,
time
but it's happened.
ever.
No, but Mahomes would have won it.
One time, and it was basically before the game had ended. It was Super Bowl V. No, there's no chance.
Again, best football player on the field that night. If anybody had any doubts before this, I think they're sealed, right? There's no more doubts anymore. The guy's about to get a bag, right? Because he's going into the last year of his contract.
Yeah. Gonna get a bag.
It's funny, right?
But
Because
if he's smart, he limits his back.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, right? Because they got to pay a lot of dudes coming
He
up now.
needs dudes. He needs dudes. Gotta have dudes to
he
win.
needs dudes.
Gotta have
they
dudes
need to
to
keep
win.
AJ Brown. They need to hopefully
Smith.
Hopefully they
the
get.
offensive
I
line.
mean, the yardage
many
might have not
guys.
been there, but
Hopefully
I
they
still
keep Kelsey because that's the best center in football
Hey, Pat Mahomes had a 96.4 QBR
in the second half.
in the whole game.
Okay, but in the
In
second,
the whole game.
I apologize. You said
21 to
96.4,
27,
right?
96.4 out of 100.
Okay, in the second half, he was a 99.4.
Correct.
Which is
For the whole game, Hurts was a 79.7.
and the only reason he doesn't have 100 there is because he had one incomplete pass. I think in the second half.
Because he threw it out of the back of the
So-
end zone.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He's 13
you
or
could
14
say,
in the
you
second
could say
half.
Hurts had the best game or the best player, but I can argue it is Patrick Mahomes who won the MVP.
In the second half,
on
for
a
sure.
high ankle sprain that no other human does that pretty much.
Listen, it was
And in the first drive, he was sensational. He just didn't. They were only on the field for 8 minutes. He just didn't have time.
yeah. The first half, the Eagles' game plan was phenomenal. The problem is that
There
in the
was
second
nothing
half,
wrong with Mahomes, man. I mean, Jesus.
problem is in the second half, the Eagles' defense just couldn't make a stop.
But one, it's the defense, and two, it's the Chiefs. Their offense is just that good.
The Chiefs make
but
great
what I-
adjustments on both sides of the
Of
ball.
course.
But Grizz, what
they
I'm saying
come out
is
of the second half. They're the Golden State of the NFL. They come
100%.
out second half. Boom.
what I'm saying is that this is squarely on the Eagles' defense. The offensive game plan for the Eagles going into that game was let's play keep away, right? Which is what you do, right?
That's the
You want
offense. That's
you want
the
to
offense.
limit a prolific offense. The best thing that you can do, the best defense, is to have
on the
a
sideline.
grinded out offense and keep those guys on
but
the sideline.
The best defense for the Eagles is their offense. Their actual defense got exposed.
Is there an echo here?
No, but they got exposed. Their defense is not that good.
We're gonna get into this in the second.
They're just not that good.
We're gonna get into this in the second segment, which is extremely
because
frustrating.
their coordinator got a job that I don't know.
But my thing is like, dude got a job, and again, I don't want to bury the lead for the second segment. You played base defense all year. Yeah, you had 76 sacks, was it? Right, the most ever.
The D-line.
And it's because it's real easy when the other team's up by or your team is up by 3 touchdowns and you can just pin your ears back and go. Like we talk about second half adjustments. The Chiefs made phenomenal second half adjustments. Where are the second half adjustments for that defense? Like you are a NFL defensive coordinator
young coach
who is at the pinnacle of your game. You are in the Super Bowl. You are at the pinnacle of the elite.
The pinnacle of the pinnacle of the pinnacle.
Correct. Like a pinhead,
Of
sir.
the pinnacle.
Yes. Of the pinnacle.
Pinnacle.
There you go. How do you not scheme up? Like, where are your 2 or 3 zone blitzes to switch some things up here? You can't just rely. Like, you don't think for the past month, like, yo, we're going to see these guys. All right? So let's make sure that we scheme everything up to nullify that pass rush. Like, you don't think that, where was the game planning on that side?
No, the problem is that if you blitz Mahomes is one of the best blitz quarterbacks in the league. He picks you apart on the blitz.
But
So
not
again-
100% Mahomes, right? Like
It doesn't matter. Again, it's
a
just,
double A gap blitz to get him off of his mark.
it doesn't matter. He is hot. Listen, the problem with that is that it makes his reads faster and easier. The adjustments that they made with the routes of doing the return motion was great on the goal line. The return motion was excellent, and
The same exact play.
They were in man. They
Oh
were in
my
man,
God.
and it blew their, they thought they were going one way, and they called return motion. That reverse drag or that return drag, whatever you want to call it, where Kelsey started going across the field and then came back.
It was Kadarius Toney, and who was the second one? McKinnon?
That was a great it was Tony and
The other
I can't
young.
remember
The other
but
young.
it wasn't McKissick. But McKissick is the one who won the game because he
Yeah, he slid.
What are you talking about?
Sky Moore.
Sky Moore. That's what. Yeah, but listen, they're all young.
McKissick, yeah. McKissick slid at the one.
Look,
So he could have
Tony
been
finally played
So-
up to his game. That return,
Correct.
Like that guy's gonna be fire for them.
If he
next
can
year.
stay healthy, that's a great
I mean,
addition.
this team to me repeat all. It just screams repeat. They are going for it next year, and I pick them for sure to win it next year.
So it's crazy, right? Everybody had billed the Chiefs as this is a rebuilding year, right? They got rid of Tyreek Hill. What are they gonna do? And all this dude did was say, "Hold my beer," and did it with a bunch of first and second year players.
On one leg at the end of the year.
Oh, but they also let's not discount the value of a Juju Smith-Schuster.
Right.
He's a
Let's
guy
not
who's
forget
an
Travis Kelsey also.
No, but I'm saying-
Hall of Fame.
Okay,
great
but
tight end.
Travis Kelsey, Smith Schuster he got his career rejuvenated by this guy.
Okay,
Right.
he
And
was
he
a
might be-
forgotten
and he
guy
might
in
resign.
Pittsburgh. He was a forgotten man in Pittsburgh. He came over. He was a legit receiver. He ran good routes.
McKinnon to me is one of the best players they've had the last couple of years. That guy is a stud. Obviously, Pacheco now coming into his own. This team is it's sick.
No, it's about offensive line.
So
I forgot, and it's funny. I hadn't even noticed until I saw all the funny pictures. Melvin Gordon. That's all their
Yeah,
team.
he got a ring.
He
Melvin
got a
Gordon.
ring.
yeah.
Hey, thanks, guys.
You should talk about just being a dude.
Hey.
Right? Glorified water boy.
Hey, years from now, that ring is gonna be amazing stories, man. Let me tell you.
So it's funny, right? Like you read and you listen to other shows in the genre here, and they're talking about how this was technically a rebuilding year, right? They're trying to figure it out because they're still tight on some money, and it's going to get easier for the Kansas City Chiefs as the year goes along because now this is the 3rd or 4th year of Mahomes' contract, right? So a lot of the front loading of the money is out the gate already. So his cap hit goes way lower now. So now they can throw some money at some other dudes, maybe entice a couple older vets to come over. But they don't need that, which is the crazy thing, right? Because they have a plethora of young talent. So, but again, it's going to get easier for them. Whereas on the flip side, you look at the Eagles, it might be exponentially harder. Because, like you said, right, like we noted, Jalen Hurts is about to get a bag.
He is,
right?
but
they're gonna re-sign him.
He might
but
be-
you got to pay AJ Green. You got to pay Devontae Smith. You have to figure out what's your answer long term at running back.
But the thing is, Hurts is probably, I think, going to be the same because Mahomes is learning the Tom Brady way. I think Hurts is going to be the same type of way. He'll get money, but they'll structure it in a way to keep this team afloat. Because the thing for the Eagles, at least they have the NFC's weak. It's the weaker conference. As much as I think KC will repeat, they still have a plethora of quarterbacks.
I mean, they're
they
like,
gotta go.
They're 8 or 9
There's
deep.
a lot of really good quarterbacks, but I just think Mahomes is the best. In the East, I mean, will you have that kind of division again with the Cowboys and Giants? I think you're gonna have a couple letdowns. The rest of the NFC, I mean, the Niners, that's it again. So
Niners and the Cowboys, really, what you have to worry
I
about?
have no faith in the Cowboys ever until they do anything remotely close to winning.
Well, I'm talking about talent-wise,
But
the way that their team
They
is
choke,
structured.
man. That's just what they do.
I hear you.
You
Grizz.
know, we have, America's teams got, a lot of problems. I think
Overall,
it's going to be easier for the Eagles, but yes, it all depends on how he structures that contract.
The one thing that the Eagles do have going for them, on top of everything else, I think their GM does a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I think he's done a great job. And I think that's one thing that, like you just said, Hurts has always been a team guy and a smart guy. So I think he understands that. He was going to get good money. But Miles Sanders is on his way out. He won't re-sign. They'll pick up another running back.
You think so?
Yeah. Plus the other two running backs they have are good.
They run 3-4 running backs anyway.
Correct.
So it's just interchangeable for them.
The key for them is Goddard, who I think had a great game. The 2 outside receivers. And then they got to pick up a slot guy, okay, to be able to fill in for that situation.
I think Goddard gets a fat contract. He's up 4-1.
Correct. Again, it's all about how fat.
Also,
because you got to make the money go around.
Also, something that we alluded to here on the show in prior weeks. We also got to see how Lane Johnson comes back from that surgery because he's getting groin surgery from that torn.
We need to see first and foremost who the OC and DC are going to be, because that is huge. That for that team is huge. They've lost both coordinators, and the OC did a nice job with this offense around Hurts' abilities and the weaponry.
Just off the hit, where does your mind go?
Oh, I have no idea.
You know what name comes to mind with this type of offense that made other dudes in this similar light shine? Greg Roman.
I know that's been out there, but to be honest, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if his passing game
is diversified enough.
I don't think it's that good, because when you take a look at the routes and stuff like that these guys have been running, I don't think he's got that.
So you're again, just throwing flyers out here, right? I'm throwing hypotheticals. You think they kind of go deep in the bag here and try to pull somebody from college?
I think they're going to do the same thing. I was listening to one of the shows this afternoon. It's all about who you know and people you've worked with. So I'm sure he's going to lean on that. He got the OC from where they work together.
Right.
So again, all that's going to come to that. It'll be who he feels comfortable with.
It's crazy if you look at the most recent signings, coaching signings in the last month. I think it's 8 of them have all come through the Philadelphia Eagles in the last 15 to 20 years. Even Sean Payton, who is now the new head coach of the Broncos, spent time as an offensive assistant with the Philadelphia Eagles under Andy Reid very, very briefly there before he moved up in the ranks. So it's kind of crazy, right? Because he is from the Parcells tree, but he did spend time with the Eagles as well. What's up?
He took a detour in Philly.
Yeah, he took a detour in Philly.
They work together in San Diego.
Like, we're gonna find. Like, I'm looking at that next year's schedule
Chargers.
for the Eagles. They got to play the AFC East, the NFC West, first place schedule. The extra AFC game is at Kansas City, little rematch. It's gonna be a whole lot different.
It's gonna be Southsea.
It's gonna be a little different. They earn their keep next year if they can be 14-3. Because I'm telling you, the road games I see here are tough.
That's where they work together. They work together at San Diego with the Chargers. And that's how they develop their relationship.
Right. Yeah, so, listen, it's going to be interesting to see here. I would agree with the Grizz here. If we're going way too early odds, where, you're going to bet on the Kansas City Chiefs. And, again, by default, like Grizz said, like we've talked about, there's really nobody else in the NFC that you would kind of put your money on besides the 49ers.
And they just need a quarterback.
They just need a quarterback.
Figure that one out.
So we're going to talk about that here pretty soon in the second segment about where these quarterbacks may or may not land. Gentlemen, this is bittersweet. I mean, what a phenomenal game, but we're going to sign off here in the first segment talking about the last game of the 2022-23 season. So it's going to be fun, but now we're going to go talk about some psychoanalysis in the dark here in the second
Psychoanalysis.
in the second segment. We'll be right back with that. All right, we're back with segment number 2. Here's the situation, right? Now that the offseason has officially started for the NFL, we jump straight into the position that matters the most in this league, right? And this offseason...
And in other leagues as well.
Was that an XFL, USFL?
Yeah, because
anywhere they play the game of football.
So, anyway... we find ourselves in a kind of unique situation here because there are a multitude of teams that need a quarterback. Oh, hello.
Particularly delicious.
Delicious. Right but we find ourselves with
what website that was.
Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
Wheels are falling off the wagon here.
Not at all.
Gentlemen, we find ourselves in a very peculiar situation where we do not have much to pick off of, or these teams don't have much to pick off of when we talk about, top tier quarterback talent. Aaron Rodgers is in a weird position here where, he is currently in his blackout, retreat situation where he is spending 5 days or 4 days, whatever it is, in total darkness. And he's not darkness. He's not sure whether...
Stop being so racist.
Incredible. This is what we're devolving into. We don't know whether he's going to retire, go back to Green Bay Packers, or we know that he has intonations. He made intonations of leaving, but we just don't know what that guy wants to do. He's in pitch black darkness, ladies and gentlemen, for God's sake.
He may go to the black hole and go to the Raiders.
If this doesn't scream the Raiders,
he might end up in the Raiders.
Is he going that deep into the inception mode, saying like, "Well, I'm going to be in a blackout mode"? Yeah. For a blackout retreat.
I want to go to Vegas and play with my old receiver that we used to rule the NFL with, and I got 2 MVPs with him. Let's do it.
The other option is the New York Jets. On paper, that is the best option because they have the best defense, and they are a quarterback away with young stud receivers and a stud running back that'll be back from injury. I mean, the Jets are loaded except for a freaking quarterback. If it's a plug-and-play situation, it is there. The Raiders got a lot of work to do. Sorry, Coach. Their defense is atrocious.
He's not going to follow the Brett Favre model and go to New York. He knows that if he goes to New York, all the juju that is New York Jets will happen, and they won't be that good. So he's going to a place where he's going to reignite and reinvigorate. I mean, come on. It's right there, man. I mean, all he has to do is go through Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and Russell Wilson. I mean, it's right there.
Russell Wilson with a Sean Payton on the sideline now.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers. He knows he's the best. So it's the challenge that he wants. Black hole, baby.
I find that not happening.
Cool.
Now, speaking of the...
You're saying the Jets then?
Yeah, I'm saying the Jets.
Fade the Frank?
Fade the Frank.
All right. Listen.
He's got to get one right.
That being said, he's probably going to end up back with the Packers because the Packers are just some stubborn dudes right now.
Double fade then. Let's go.
Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, won't we? This leaves us with the next best quarterback on the list here, which is
the guy he's going to replace.
The guy he may replace with the Raiders in Derek Carr. Really ridiculous stat here, and it sucks because I'm a Carr guy. Like I've been defending him with Alan Pernis on our French chat.
Whoever the hell that is.
Yeah, that guy has been a ultimate Derek Carr hater the entire season. So I've actually been in Coach's corner here for...
It's not really that good.
But he's got 142 games played, I believe, with 135 turnovers.
He's consistent.
That's consistent is one word to put it. One way to put it.
And again, listen, I don't know how much that really entails. I mean, he looked like crap in the 7-on-7 flag football crap the other day.
Didn't he win the
All-Star team,
the challenge stuff?
Yeah, but the thing was, but when he played... When he was through playing.
Oh, when there was like real people, he couldn't play?
It looked bad.
Got it.
But again, I just don't know how much that has to do with scheme, who he's got, who he doesn't have.
I mean,
So
he's had a lot of coaches.
that, like I said, that's the problem. The Raiders have just sucked for the last 15
Yeah.
years. They've been horrible.
He's had a lot of people to try out and just nothing.
The only guy that got him going in the right direction got fired for emails.
Exactly.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, Jesus Christ. No.
We're bringing that up.
He wasn't there to
that's the
help.
only guy. That guy made him go. That guy was good.
He is a
That
QB
was,
guru.
That was his best season.
There you go.
Listen,
My problem is that he commanded $33 million. He's not worth $33 million.
The unfortunate thing is now even the middling quarterbacks are getting an absurd amount of money.
here's why I say the Jets make sense for Aaron Rodgers on paper.
But we're back to that, huh?
Oh my goodness.
Brees Hall.
We're now back to that.
Yes, Brees Hall. Okay. Then you have a plethora of receivers. You have Moore. You have Wilson. You have Smith. Like you got a ton of players. You have Conklin.
Let it go.
I know more of the Packers
Let it
receivers
go.
than those Jets.
Let it go.
Garrett Wilson wasn't a stud. He wasn't a stud fantasy and for
He's
real.
not going to the Jets.
Oh God, I can't wait for this. So I can just
I
explode.
can't
both of
wait
them.
either.
I think he's tired of wearing green, man.
That'll be
He's
great.
already done that.
Anywho,
Man,
right?
that would be fantastic.
Where do you
But once again,
He would end up
why
like
would
on
he
a
want to
4-4
follow?
run.
He's going to be really following Brett Favre everywhere and everything he does. Follow him with the Packers.
But maybe he can one up Brett Favre.
No, he's still one
Okay.
Super Bowl tied with him. Just that.
So let's say Rodgers. It's either the Raiders or the Jets if he does go
Or
anywhere.
Green Bay.
If he goes anywhere, which implies that he may stay in Green Bay or he may leave, or he may retire.
Right. Maybe it's
he may come
somewhere
out
you might never
of his
think of.
hallucinogenic retreat and say, "Yeah, I'm done."
Sure, why does it have to be hallucinogenic? Why do you have to bring up that
He just went into the darkness.
The whole
man.
point of going into darkness like that is you it's a sensory deprivation.
Sure,
you
sure.
start.
You don't know that. That's not,
Okay,
you're just
you're right. I
fake
don't-
news.
How often have you been in the darkness?
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Actually, but pretty well studied situation. Anyways, we're gonna move forward from there. Okay, where do you think that Derek Carr lands in this whole situation? Because he's the next domino to fall, right? Like if we're talking about this, it's all teams playing.
The Colts.
Ooh, you think they want to go and do that again? They've done retreads 4 years in a row.
That's
But
what
this
they
is no,
do.
but this retread's a different retread.
They're all different.
He's a little younger. He's a little younger.
They went
I mean, Carson Wentz was a young
Phillip Rivers,
No, but
Carson Wentz,
Carson fell off the deep end. This kid hasn't
Matt
fallen off the
Ryan.
deep end.
He's your typical
Phillip Rivers,
Carr's your
Carson Wentz,
typical
Matt Ryan.
average guy.
Right. I'm saying Carson Wentz went off
He's
the
the
deep end.
equator.
Right. Exactly. Yes. He's just middling.
Yeah, he flatlines.
He's the
Correct.
Mendoza line.
He's a Mendoza.
He's just there.
He's just there.
Is he on the Mendoza? So it's purgatory.
Honestly speaking, what would be kind of out of this world would be, but again, I don't know how much this guy wants. He's got to be realistic. If Carolina gets him with Frank Reich,
So that's one of the teams that are on the list.
hey, again, if Carolina gets him with Frank Reich in that group, now those guys have a squad.
Could be interesting.
Their defense is decent. They got some good running backs,
And
some good receivers.
South is ready for anybody to take it. So
I'm just saying that that Carolina Panthers team looks
10
good.
games will
and
take
by the
you
way, the
places.
coaching staff that he has amassed is a really sweet coaching
Oh,
staff.
they vets on vets.
Yes. And,
Now-
and a couple of good young guys.
So we go from there to now we go Jimmy Garoppolo, ladies and gentlemen. Where do you think happens there?
Jimmy gets hurt too much, man. I
But
can't see.
But somebody's gonna pay him, coach. But like you got to take your personal feelings aside. I know that it comes
it's
from an
not-
objective place.
It's just he just gets hurt so much.
I know it's not personal. I know that you're being objective about it, but somebody's gonna pay him, bro. Who's gonna pay him?
I don't know what to tell you.
Who's gonna pay his ass? Because, I look at it and Washington Commanders could be on that list, right? He could get paid by the Texans, who are desperate for somebody who can piss a drop.
I'm gonna be
You know,
honest with you. I really don't. I don't.
The Colts.
I don't think that. I don't think the Texans are gonna go that route, just because their head coach is a defensive minded coach. And I don't think they're gonna go into that abyss.
We'll
They're
see,
gonna
man.
draft somebody. They're gonna keep it simple. They got a great running back. They're gonna run the ball. They're gonna play keep away until they can develop whatever they can develop.
We'll see. I mean, it's like that one is the biggest enigma. And honestly, this is all conjecture, right? Because I don't think any movement's gonna happen until the whole Aaron Rodgers thing is solidified. Everybody's waiting for that dude to come out of his sensory deprivation.
agree.
Well,
situation.
not really, because
I don't agree with
Carolina, Indianapolis, these teams that were mentioned, they're not going to get Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
So
I don't agree with that statement. He's not a free agent. He's not a free agent.
Yeah, it's a
So
trade.
that doesn't that has nothing.
But everything starts when? March 1st, right?
Right. Well, no, because the new league year starts.
It's like some March. It's at least the beginning of March.
Well, but the reason why I say is because the Raiders had to release him today because the new league year would have started. And he was
No,
Yeah, but when
no,
can you
do his
sign?
do his bonus.
listen.
When can you start signing people?
That's not the new.
Right,
It's not the new league. It's his contract called for him to get $32.9 million plus a $7.5 million if he
roster bonus.
if he was on if he was on the
But I'm
roster.
saying, but that's
why they get rid of him.
But that's everybody in the league who had that stipulation. It's this date or something like that.
I don't think so.
I guess it's just based off of the Super Bowl,
it's
right?
on each right, but it's not the
March
the new-
15th.
It's not the new
is when
league,
NFL free agents can be signed.
right? But it's not the new league year.
but
nothing
the
to do
new
with
league
that.
year is March 15th.
No, I
then?
want to say the new league year is like in June, May or
Begin
June.
contract
starts before the
negotiations with
combine.
unrestricted free agents starting on March 13th.
Yeah, I know that there's a lot of like the whole roster situation. There's a lot of it that goes down right after the Super Bowl. That's why I figured that was a situation.
March 7th is your deadline for clubs to designate franchise or transition players.
That's going to be another interesting situation here, right? Because if we're talking about quarterbacks,
Lamar Jackson.
right? Lamar, they're in a tier of their own when it comes to that because
He doesn't want to play for them.
you don't think so. Where does he go? See, a lot of people are saying it's the Atlanta Falcons,
Yes, that's a team that would be
sounds pretty good.
amazing.
right? Like, I mean talk about Vince, all of the Michael Vick, everybody like 2.0 when you look at them. They're young, they're talented. That might be an interesting spot for them. The problem is here, it's kind of a gift and a curse, right? And we talked about this before. He's representing himself, right? So if anybody, he may be the one to take the lumps to get that guaranteed contract, right? Like that might be a thing. Like everybody may wait to see what happens with him, to then be like, oh well, let's see if we can try this also, So that's definitely an interesting situation in and of itself. Where do the Ravens go from there, right? Because if this doesn't get resolved here, within the next 3 weeks, because if he gets franchised, it's a wrap. Like he's not playing.
Yeah, the new league year does start March 15th.
Yeah, that's what Grizz was saying.
As I was saying, I don't think first and foremost that Aaron Rodgers has anything to do with any other quarterbacks or dominoes falling. All the leverage in the Baltimore situation is with the Ravens. He has no leverage. They're going to tag him, and he's screwed.
But he can easily say, "I'm not going to play."
You're tagged. You're gonna lose money. You lose money. You're under contract. He's under contract. He's still under contract.
He was franchised this past year.
No, he was not. He's gonna get franchised this. You'll get the franchise tag this year.
Oh, the
Okay.
league year is the same day.
They can give it to him at the highest level, and that's it. There's nothing he can do. Okay,
We're gonna fact check that one.
you can fact check whatever you want. Again, I've been hearing it at nauseum.
Yeah, long-term deal, franchise tag him, or even pull off a franchise tag, trade, and move for him. Let's see what happens there.
Like I said, the Ravens have all the leverage.
Speaking,
I just said that.
Let's speaking of moves. Go ahead.
No, you finished.
So speaking of
If
moves,
you're done with all the football talk,
No,
no, not
speaking of
football talk.
moves,
Oh, we're gonna get into the atrocities that was this defensive coordinator hire with the Eagles.
let's go.
Mr. Gannon here after an atrocious performance, playing base defense all year long, and you just parlay that into getting a head coaching job.
and someone on the opposite team that basically beat him has yet to get a job.
In the last 4 years,
But
he's
again-
been to 5 AFC
Unfortunately-
championship
But I'm gonna say
games.
it
and
again.
3
Unfortunately,
I'm going to say it again and again
Yes.
and again and again. Okay? And it's funny because I heard it today on my way home on the radio. Okay? How many teams are in the NFL?
32.
32. Okay. How many openings have there been in the last 5 years?
17. I think it's 17 or of the 32 coaches have been on the job for less than 2 years or 3 years, whatever
Now,
it is.
with that being-
There's been a lot.
2/3 of the league has turned over in the
With
last
that
3
being
years.
said, there's been a few black head coaches named and hired and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
But not him.
Okay. What does that tell you?
I
That
just-
tells you that the league doesn't want him. They do not think he's the right guy. I don't care if you're yellow, beige, gay, straight, binary. If you're a good coach,
they'll put you up there.
and you can do things and they can see you as the head of their franchise, they will put you in that position. I do not believe that he interviews well. I don't think that he's able to get things across at the table when he sits in front of
He's not able to close it.
He just can't.
Here's
Now,
the thing,
with
Coach.
that being said,
I agree with you.
but now, what does he do? What exactly does he do in Kansas City? I want someone to tell me what exactly does he do? Because he's not the running game coordinator. He's not the passing game coordinator.
He's not calling the plays.
He does not call the plays. He is the coordinator in name only.
Listen,
So what does he do?
Exactly.
I agree.
Do we know? Can you pinpoint?
Well,
I wish I
there's
could.
a lot to be said.
That way I
He's
could do that job.
He's an
Because
associate.
I'm sure I could.
He's an associate head coach. He's been around the game. Like
I could do that.
again.
Having said that, there's been some guys that should not be head coaches
Correct.
in this league, and giving him a chance probably is not the worst thing. But unfortunately, you do got to interview well. You got to sell your pitch for someone to buy it. And if he's bad at selling himself, what are you going to do?
I'm not going to hire him.
Here's the point, right? That while I agree with you, right, you need to be that there is something there that is not allowing him to break through, and I would tend to agree with you that he probably just doesn't interview well,
And it's got to do with skin color, or it's got to do with
or schematics or anything
it's
like that.
Eric Bieniemy. It's just he is not seen as a head
But
coach material.
And again, regardless of that notion and what you're saying, which again I would tend to agree with, is the fact that you have Matt Nagy, who was an atrocity, Doug Peterson, who was the other, Frank Reich. These are all.
Peterson won an NFL.
Yes, I understand that. I'm just naming the.
Peterson won a Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying.
I know. I'm naming the guys that came from the Andy Reid tree.
Right.
Peterson did win a Super Bowl, yes.
Nagy coached for 2 years and sucked.
Now a lot of it they attribute to Frank Reich being the OC there. But again, he goes off to the Colts, has been sputtering, gets fired, ends up with the Panthers. So he got another job off of that. And then Matt Nagy was an atrocity with the Bears.
And he's back at KC.
So while I agree,
And they're waiting. He's waiting for Eric to leave so he could.
While I agree,
step into that role.
While I agree with you, right? The problem is that those dudes who were not at Eric Bieniemy's level at that point got jobs,
But they might have been able to sell.
And they're
the
white.
deal. But
Whether-
why does the white have to go into it? Maybe they were able to sell the deal. D'Amico Ryans got hired this year. What color is D'Amico Ryans?
But why are you getting?
And
why-
very
Because
young.
you have to throw white. Why does white have to?
And
throw
I'm
And
telling you
basically
that,
was a player like 6-7 years ago.
and
Super young.
I'm telling you that while I agree with you, it's not factoring into my equation. It's in our conversation right now because
Right.
that is what the greater public
But why?
is factoring in.
Why?
And what I'm saying is
why
watch
do
your
we have
tone
to
with
go
me
there?
and disrespect me because
Why
it's not
do
me.
we have to go
You
there?
old crotchety human.
Listen, regardless of any of the crotchety or whatever the case may be, why does it have to be a black and white situation? It isn't. Because we're hiring
And again,
black coaches.
it may not be- I'm agreeing that it's
For goodness sakes, Brian Flores got a job.
I mean, he did all right for the Dolphins.
No, I mean he was great. We should have started. We should have started the second half of the season every year.
All 3
We should have
seasons.
skipped the first 8 games and played week 9. Okay? But apart from that. So there's been numerous guys. I just don't think that Eric is able to close the deal. I don't know if it's how he speaks, what he writes, what he says, how he sells the idea of him being the face of the organization.
Again, and I agree wholeheartedly.
And sadly, he's black.
And that's it.
I wish he was a white guy. So that way we could stop talking about, he's getting skipped over.
But that's that. Unfortunately, that's the narrative that we need to talk about, right? Because I agree with you. The issue is that the perception and the greater public and what they're talking about in the greater media has to do with the black and white situation, and we have to talk about it too. Because let's go to another coaching tree. Let's go to the Bill Belichick coaching tree. All those guys have been. We're in Miami, right? So we're gonna go Miami terms here. All those guys have been mierda, and for those that don't speak Spanish, that's shit. Okay, and they've continued to get chances. All those guys have been white.
No, they have not.
No, Romeo Cornell. And he got multiple chances.
But he got multiple chances.
Time out. That was 20 years ago. I'm talking about the last
20 years ago.
He was like a few
It's been within the last 20 years.
He was he was the head coach with the Kansas City Chiefs before
He's had
before Andy Reid came.
He's had multiple head coaching opportunities.
Again.
So again, no.
I'm talking can we talk about right now?
Okay. Forget about right now.
But he's part of the tree that you're talking about.
I understand, but I'm saying in the last 5 to 7, they've all been white. Like Joe Judge.
Who's
the fat guy?
He was the interim head coach 2020 for the Texans.
Romeo Crennel has been
head coach for the
Romeo
Chiefs,
Crennel
head coach for the Browns.
Numerous head coaching opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, again, you're absolutely right. He sucked. He's Bill Belichick product. No argument.
Right.
He sucked.
But they all suck, like you said.
They all suck.
Talking about Patricia,
Regardless of color.
Right. They all
Judge.
Yes, they've all sucked.
Your boy, your new best friend with the Ravens.
Josh, they've all sucked. No argument. However, the black guy got the opportunity. He wasn't good. Belichick tree, he sucked. Like I said, I think it's how Eric comes across. Again, I don't know because he did have 2 or 3 DUIs on his record. He's been DUI, and that I don't know if that scares people off. I don't know. But there is something. When you have 32 teams in the league and 17 jobs have come open and nobody takes him, there's got to be something.
Listen, and that's the thing.
And it's not race. It's not a racial thing.
No, I don't think it's going to be racist. It's just we have to talk about it. It's an uncomfortable conversation.
But I don't have to talk about. I don't have to talk about race. I have to talk about him.
No, you have to talk about it because that's what everybody else is talking about, and that's what you have to give your opinion.
But everybody else is about race now today. Everything is racial. Everything. And again, football is one of the few bastions that no, because in the 70s there was a black head coach. In the 80s, black head coaches. 90s, okay? Look, the Super Bowl. Oh, the first time. No, you know what? This is the first time the 2 Christian quarterbacks played each other.
If I'm not mistaken, the first black head coach was Art Shell in 1992.
Yes, no, it was Art Shell. No, but I want to say that he was a head coach. Before that, he had like 3 stints with us. So again, okay?
Art Shell 92.
Art Shell.
92.
But whatever. Like I said, it just bothers me that it's all race now. It's not about him being black. Sorry. It's not about Eric Bieniemy being black.
And I understand that. Again, and we're agreeing with that. But it is part of the conversation. And we need to parse it up if we're going to be relevant in that
But why is it part of the conversation? That's the cop-out. The cop-out is, he doesn't get the job because he's black. That's the cop-out.
No, the cop-out is that you have guys that are retreads, that are white, who haven't been fairly successful in other places, who are getting second and third opportunities,
but Frank Reich was successful
while
early.
the multicultural individuals are still struggling to get their first opportunity.
Listen,
that's what the conversation.
I'm going to go after a Hispanic guy right now.
But that's what the conversation is.
My boy with the Commanders. He had 1 good season with the Panthers, maybe 2.
He went to the Super Bowl.
Okay, what's he done for me lately?
They went 15-1.
What's he done for me lately?
He picked up the pieces of a franchise
and
that was in complete and total disarray.
He has sucked.
Took him to the playoffs.
Sucked.
Took him to the playoffs.
You want to talk about retreads? He has sucked.
Took him to the playoffs.
He sucks.
He's
mediocre.
He's taken 3 teams to the playoffs, coach.
Okay, the Giants went to the playoffs this year and they sucked.
Hey, stop talking
mediocre
at me in that tone,
okay,
sir.
Now, could they be better? Yeah, I think they will do a great job.
He's taken 3 teams to the playoffs.
Again, like I said,
we're gonna move on amicably
since
here.
We're retreading.
Okay, we're gonna move on amicably. Shane Steichen becomes the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. right?
Indianapolis Colts?
Indianapolis Colts.
All right.
Okay, and our boy here, Jonathan Gannon, who we're talking about here, gets the head coaching job for the Arizona Cardinals. It's funny, right? Because they were uber offense, right, with their last head coaching hire, and then they go to the flip side here with a dude that didn't really have, the greatest showing, in the biggest stage of the game. How do you see both of these hires, right? Because they're the biggest hires, coming out of the Super Bowl. How do you see both of these hires going down here with both these teams?
It's funny because I'm looking this guy up, and he's been coaching since 2007, so he's been in the NFL for 14 years. He's not a Johnny come lately. So again, these are guys that have been in the NFL since they were young guys. They've been coaching. They've done good things. We'll see how good he does with the Colts now. He doesn't have that front four to bail him out.
No, he does not, sir.
He doesn't have the DBs to bail him out.
This is a rebuild on that side of the ball.
So it's gonna be one of those situations to see what they do. Who he hires as his OC is always a big question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the pod, right? And we're, how offensive guys, they're the hot thing to get hired now because they're better able to kind of control and manage the game. And, the whole quarterback guru, offensive guru thing is in. And how we usually see the defensive hire tends to struggle, right, with the offensive side of the ball and kind of allowing them to do their thing because they're more ball control. They want to see the ball ran because they're defensive-minded guys. How do you think that's going to go over, man, with with the little guy there at quarterback? And
he might not come back till half the season's over anyways.
Yeah.
He's hurt. He got hurt. Surgery, so that might be a moot point, in all honesty.
Grizz, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not familiar with these coordinators, whether they'll make their teams better or not. I don't like Coach said, Kyle Murray doesn't look good for Arizona. I think it's gonna take a couple of years for get their system. He'll probably get a new quarterback down the road. He'll be expendable. The Colts, like I said, they're just going to try to fill up another guy probably. Derek Carr, I'm telling you, he might be there. And if not, they have a decent team too, bro. But I don't know. They're the hot shot coordinators. They got their jobs. Good luck.
Let's see what happens, right? No, let's see that
I was thinking about that earlier today. It's like a number one draft choice. It's all a crapshoot. So it's
50-50 proposition, right?
They're all the hot thing now, and whether they'll be back to being coordinators after this, we'll see. Or great coaches.
We're going to leave it right there.
I'm going to stop you before we break. I just want to give a nice shout out to our beloved Zach Thomas to make the Hall of Fame. Definitely deserved it. One of the best of all time. I don't care what anybody says. He is the prototypical middle linebacker. Get you a tackle anytime. Pretty good class he went in with Rondé Barber, Darrell Revis, Joe Thomas, DeMarcus Ware, a few other guys that made it on the senior committee. But Zach Thomas, besides
one of the hardest
obviously,
working guys.
Yeah, besides Urlacher in his time, I mean, Lewis, obviously Ray Lewis is by far the best in his time. But I mean, when Urlacher got on the first try, I saw a pod the other day where Urlacher a few months ago was so upset that Zach Thomas wasn't in. And once again, when your peers, like a guy like Urlacher, and I'm sure Ray Lewis would have probably, know that guy, first ballot, second ballot, doesn't matter. Zach should be in day one, and he is. And his reaction when he got in was awesome.
Yeah, that, having Jimmy Johnson give him, give him the announcement, I cried.
I really
I hated the Dolphins at that point.
I'm not a Jimmy Johnson fan from his Dolphin years because of the way I didn't like how it felt pushing out Shula, getting rid of Marino. He never obviously was destined to be with him, and the way that last game for both ended was terrible. But the only thing that I will say, the best thing that guy ever did was draft JT and Zach Thomas. I mean, those were.
And if he could have traded Marino, he would have drafted a whole bunch of other guys.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, obviously he would have done whatever he could to get rid of it. And you know what? Now looking back at it, I wish he would
Might have
have.
been the right thing.
Wish he would have, because it would have helped Dan get himself maybe a ring. And yeah, the Dolphins would have been better. But whatever. The point is, Zach Thomas, glad to see you in.
Hey, baby. We're going to leave it right there. We'll be back to close out the show with some Durant talk and some UFC talk. All right, we're going to close out this show with the holy crap trade that took everybody by surprise here, which is the Kevin Durant trade to the Phoenix Suns. We thought that he was going to stay after the trade that was done with Kyrie Irving to the Mavericks, and then we all went to sleep, right? And I remember when I got the news, my infant son was up for his 3 a.m. feeding, and ESPN is on in the background, and they're just reporting the trade.
Humming and hawing.
And, you know, my eyes are still not all the way open. I'm like, what? Who's going on here? And honestly, I thought it was a joke. And then in the morning, I'm listening to the morning radio, and it's like, holy crap, they actually did this. And you have Devin Booker with Chris Paul, and you add a Kevin Durant. And let's not, DeAndre Ayton is no slouch either.
Well, they got a nice little squad.
They are instant favorites to win the West.
It's about them now developing the team chemistry that's needed in basketball. Because again, we've seen other
super teams,
quote unquote super teams, can't make it work,
and it's taking them time.
So it's going to take them a few games to get going. So we'll see how long that takes for them to gel. And again, yeah, they do become automatic favorites.
Would you say that they're prohibitive favorites?
Man, I don't know what to tell you, because I still think that there's a lot of juice left in Golden State. I think Dallas is having a great season as well. I think there's quite a few teams that foot the bill on that side, on the West. So now, definitely, are they contenders? Yeah, they're automatic contenders.
I love this trade for the simple fact, and it has nothing to do with Kevin Durant. I love this trade because I want to see Chris Paul win a ring.
Problem with that isn't,
I am a huge
that's the other
fan
side
of
it
that
is
guy.
that he always gets hurt at the wrong time. So,
but I will tell you this, right? Because his usage over his career has been so high throughout the season that, you know, I feel like it's kind of like a wear down situation at the worst times ever.
Right.
This situation, he can sit back and do what he does best, be a point guard. Distribute. You got a pure scorer in Devin Booker. You got DeAndre Ayton down low in the post, and then you got Kevin Durant, who can pretty much do whatever the hell he wants to do.
Of course.
And on the flip side with Kevin Durant, now he doesn't have to worry about being a leader because, listen, the guy is a top 5 to 7 natural talent that we ever seen in the NBA, right? And he left Golden State because he wanted to, do it on his own, and he wanted to leave and, show that he could win a ring on his own, that he could call it his.
Right.
Didn't work out. He doesn't have those natural leadership skills, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, he's still a dude. Going to the Suns, he doesn't have to worry about being a leader. He doesn't have to worry about cohesiveness. He doesn't have to worry, about Kyrie Irving with his, next crazy thought that's going to happen.
Off the court situation.
He can just show up to work and ball.
It is. It's a good group of guys that I think are hard workers. And they do, like I said, I think it's a great pickup for them. It really is.
So, I mean, listen, the issue, and you said Golden State, the issue with Golden State is that they're kind of playing 500 ball right now. And they haven't really gotten into a rhythm because as soon as everybody gets on the court together, another one gets hurt, and then it's all over the place. They traded a bunch of dudes.
They end up being bored half the time.
I would agree with that, but
that's the thing. They sleepwalk through the season to get to the playoffs. All of a sudden, the playoffs, they're a different squad.
Well, let's see what happens, right? I mean, it's kind of funny, right? We talk about the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference with the NBA, and then the AFC and the NFC. It's kind of like a facsimile of one another, right? The AFC in football is loaded, and the Western Conference in basketball is loaded. So, you can't count any of those teams out. At worst, each one of the top 8 have a puncher's chance. Like, that's how deep they are. But yes, for sure, Suns with this trade, Kevin Durant going there, top 2 or 3 in the West, and I think we see them in the Western Conference Finals for sure. All right. Now, speaking of fights and dog fights, we're going to jump into a not so smooth segue to close out the show and talk about UFC 284 and this past weekend's fights. The main card, the main event here was Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski. And Islam wins by decision here.
And rightfully so. He deserved to win. I think he did. He won 3 rounds. I think Volkanovski fought a great fight. It just showed how great Volkanovski is. It also showed a little bit of weakness with Makhachev and what Islam can do or can't do. The fight before that was Yair Rodriguez, and that's going to be the new challenger for Volkanovski at his weight. Don't forget that Volkanovski was fighting up. He went up a weight class to fight, and again, I'm more and more impressed with him every day. He really is a great fighter. He's such a tough guy. Such a tough guy. He had Islam hurt a couple times. He just couldn't finish it.
Yeah, I mean, and when we talk about fighters coming from that area now, right? It's not a Nurmagomedov situation anymore. Like these guys are beatable, right? There are chinks in their armor, right? They're not like such perfect facsimiles that we're used to seeing.
Well, no, we've only had one perfect facsimile.
No, but what I'm saying is that Volkanovski could come back. There could be a rematch here, and he could definitely take this
he
next
could. He could
rematch.
Down the road. He could. It's just Islam was also a much bigger guy,
right?
So it's not an easy fight for him to be able to get that going.
Understood. So how does this fare going forward? Do you think that we're going to see this in short order here, or does Volkanovski have to?
I think Volkanovski will go back to defend his title against Yair. Again, I had Yair on Saturday night. I don't know. He's got the tools to beat Volkanovski, but I don't think that this fight was a grueling fight for Volkanovski. So again, I think Volkanovski will retain his title against Yair Rodriguez.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you can't go wrong with these fights, right? Like, they've been putting on banger after banger, right? Like, they've been on a hell of a run here. Going into that, the reason why I bring that up is we got UFC 287 that has been confirmed that's going to be down here in Miami, right? The headline here is going to be Adesanya, the style bender, against Alex Pereira.
There's a couple of 2 UFCs before that are going to be.
They're going to be bangers, but
bangers.
We're Miami, right? So I got to let them know. Also, side note, the tickets are $700, so we will not be there. We tried very briefly to see.
Nice.
We would try very briefly to see if we could, get to that fight. Yeah, well, it ain't in the budget. So if anybody wants to sponsor us and, we'll do like a little live bit from there, that'd be sweet. But it ain't happening right now. I think for that combined $700 that one ticket, we all go watch it 4K in one of our houses. So,
but you're gonna have Jones and Gagne.
Jones and Gagne is gonna be fire.
285, and then Edward Usman 3 is 286. So you got a few pay-per-views before that, as well as a fight night, which you're gonna have a few good ones as well. We have one coming up this weekend with Andrade and Blankfield.
Oh, that's gonna be,
which should be a good fight.
Be fireworks.
One of my favorite guys is fighting on there, which is Joe Solecki. I don't know who he's fighting. I gotta see who his opponent is. So, but it should be a good night of fights.
Yeah. So did you see? Just to close out the show, a little bit of humor here. Did you see what Bones Jones tweeted out to DC?
To DC.
He's like, "Hey, I really like what you do. I have no problem with you commentating my fight as long as you pretty much come at it non-biased."
Right.
And for those of you that aren't as adept UFC, Daniel Cormier hates
Oh, he
hates John Bones
If
Jones.
it wasn't for John Bones Jones, DC would have been champ for a longer time.
Right.
Would have really won the title because he never really won it.
Man.
He couldn't
was
beat.
It, was it twice that he got popped for
He
PEDs?
couldn't- Well,
One was cocaine.
who? Bone?
Jones.
Jones. I've lost count. I don't even know. He's out of the ring issue. I mean, it's a shame because, again, we talk about that once in a lifetime talent. Bones Jones is that guy.
Was that dude?
You know, he is because he's still alive, but that's, and sadly you don't get to see
It
it.
robbed his prime
Correct.
because he had to get suspended and it
He
was all
just
this
did so
craziness.
much stupid stuff that you.
One was a PEDs, right? One was definitely steroids. The other one was definitely cocaine. And there was another
And
one.
I believe the other one was a domestic violence situation, or it was something. He got pulled over, and
And the two fights that got nullified were against DC, if I'm not mistaken.
they weren't nullified. He beat DC.
But I'm saying he got popped for the.
Well, after he beat DC,
He tested positive.
no, but not right after the fight. It was later on. Later on, 2 months, 3 months later, he had to forfeit the belt.
Jesus Christ!
So again,
What a guy!
And again, sadly, DC is a great fighter in his own right, and was a good champion. But that was just his kryptonite. He could not beat Jones. He just could not handle it.
Just length, speed.
Everything. He even out wrestled. Like, that was the thing with Jones, that Jones had some wrestling in him. So he just didn't knock you out. He had the length. He had everything.
All of it.
He was really, really good about that.
Yes, sir.
So,
Gentlemen, I think that does it for us this evening. It was a pleasure as always. Okay, thank you to our sponsors, General Carnitas Gourmet Meats.
we'll do a little bit of basketball and college basketball next week. Again, if you follow us on Twitter, I've been putting out some plays. Today we're going to be able to right now there's about 20 seconds left in the Alabama-Tennessee game. We did take Tennessee, so that's a positive. TCU is getting handled right now. That's a negative. and we did take Indiana, so we'll see how that one works out.
Check out the deep dive picks on Twitter. He'll be posting them throughout the week. But again, like I said, thank you to our sponsors, General Carnitas Gourmet Meats. You can visit generalcarnitas.com for all of your premium meat selections.
Free delivery in the Tri-County area.
Free delivery in the Tri-County area. Go try it. So good. All right. Also, Prodigy Coaches for any of your K-12 tutoring and test prep needs. Visit prodigycoaches.com. And then Prodigy Athletic Gear. All right. Coming soon, website prodigyathleticgear.com for all of your custom sportswear and athletic gear apparel. This is Two Coaches, One Grizz. Out.